Today, we are undertaking a deep dive into, well, what is arguably one of the most essential books of the last century,
A heavy hitter for sure.
Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Hmm.
And, people often call it a memoir, but that really undersells it. It's so much more.
Oh, absolutely. It's a psychological text, a philosophical text, all born from, the most harrowing conditions imaginable.
And that context is just indispensable, isn't it?
It is. You have to remember who he was. Frankl was an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist,
Right.
and his entire life, his entire body of work, was forged by his survival of 4 different concentration camps during the Holocaust.
And those observations he made there, under that extreme duress, they really became the engine for everything that came after.
That's the core of it. The key finding, the thing that drives the entire book, is this idea of an ultimate human freedom.
The power to choose your attitude.
Exactly. The power to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances,
Yeah.
even in the middle of profound, inescapable suffering.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission here in this deep dive is really to pull out those foundational principles from the review of his work.
Yeah, to give you some clarity on why Frankl's ideas have become such a touchstone for so many people.
In psychology, business, personal development, you name it. We're trying to understand the practical side of this.
The implications of what he's saying.
Before we jump into the book itself, there's a detail from the source material about the audiobook I found really interesting.
Oh, the tone of the narration.
Yes. It's described as very slow, thoughtful, almost liturgical,
The review mentions that listeners often have to physically pause it.
just to absorb the weight of it.
Right. You can't just binge it like a normal audiobook.
Yeah.
It forces you to reflect. And that slow pace, it really underscores the gravity of what you're about to hear.
So let's begin with part 1. This is where he focuses on the experience in the camps. He calls it a psychological X-ray.
And that's a key phrase. He wasn't trying to just catalog the physical horrors. That's been well documented. He was interested in the mental trajectory of the prisoners,
The journey they went on from that initial shock.
to a kind of relative apathy, and then for a very small number to something else, a kind of spiritual rebirth.
And he observed these 3 distinct phases.
He did. But the most profound finding was that meaning wasn't a luxury. It was a biological necessity for survival.
So it wasn't optional.
Not at all. He
Mhm.
saw it again and again. The prisoners who died the fastest, the ones with the highest mortality rates, were the ones who lost all hope in a future.
The ones who became resigned.
Completely resigned, spiritually and psychologically.
So it wasn't just about physical strength. It was about having a kind of cognitive firewall against despair.
Exactly. The ones who survived often held on to what seemed like a tiny, fragile piece of future purpose,
Like a loved one waiting for them.
or an unfinished manuscript, or just a promise to themselves to one day bear witness to what happened.
Purpose as a shield.
A prophylaxis against despair, yes. And this is where he brings in that famous quote from Nietzsche, which became the central pillar for all of his work.
He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow.
That's the one. The why was the mental armor. If you had a reason, any reason, that existed beyond that moment of suffering,
Then the how, the hunger, the cold, the fear, it became bearable.
endurable at least.
And what's so powerful about this is how it connects to his idea of freedom. Even when your body is starved and in chains, when every external liberty has been taken away, you still have one thing left.
The final, unconquerable human freedom.
The freedom to choose your response.
And just think about that for a second. That is the power he hands back to you, the listener.
Right.
Your external world might be chaotic, it might be painful, but it never, ever has to determine your inner world.
Unless you let it. Unless you surrender that power.
Right. And he saw it. He saw prisoners choosing to comfort others, to share their last tiny piece of bread. These acts proved that this choice was possible, even on the brink of death.
And the small details he includes really bring this to life, don't they? The source review points this out. It wasn't always these grand philosophical ideas.
No, not at all. It was the small, intentional moments that became mental anchors.
Like seeing a sunset.
A sudden view of a sunset over the barbed wire, yeah? Or remembering a specific conversation with a loved one, or even finding a moment to share a dark joke with another prisoner.
Spiritual sustenance, that's what he called it.
It was proof that life could still contain beauty even in a literal hell. These small mental victories were like an inoculation against total psychological collapse.
And he saw that the men who, cultivated this rich inner life,
Fueled by memories, by future goals.
they were just far more resilient than those who were only focused on the next bowl of watery soup.
And that observation, that meaning, is literally a survival mechanism. That's what leads directly into his post-war work.
Which brings us to part 2, where he formalizes all of this into his therapeutic approach.
Logotherapy.
Logotherapy.
And it's built entirely on a single premise, that the primary motivational force in human beings is the will to meaning.
Which is a huge departure from the schools of thought that came before him.
A massive one. I mean, you had Freud, who was focused on the will to pleasure.
Right.
And then Adler, who was focused on the will to power. Frankl comes along and says, no, you've both missed the point. What truly drives us is finding and fulfilling a purpose.
So this must have given him a totally different way to approach patients who were struggling with that feeling of meaninglessness, what he called the existential vacuum.
It did. He said a lot of modern neuroses, a lot of depression, it didn't come from suppressed pleasure or power dynamics.
Yeah.
It came from a frustrated will to meaning.
So logotherapy is about helping people find that meaning.
Or create it. And he outlined 3 main ways, 3 pathways through which we can discover meaning in our lives.
Okay, let's unpack those. The first one is probably the most straightforward.
Right. Meaning through creation or work.
So this is about what you give to the world.
Exactly. It's meaning you get from making a contribution. It could be your job, your craft, an art project, raising a family. It's the feeling that your actions matter, that you're serving something bigger than yourself.
Fulfilling a unique task that only you can do.
Yes. It gives your life a direction, a trajectory.
Okay, and the second pathway is centered on experience or loving someone.
This one is about what you take from the world, in a sense, the richness of life.
So, experiencing art or nature.
Or, most profoundly, in loving another human being. Frankl believed that love is the way you truly see another person's full potential.
And he stresses that this meaning, it lasts, even if the person isn't there anymore.
Yes, it's the spiritual bond that provides the enduring purpose. He talked about how the memory of his wives gave his own suffering meaning while he was in the camps.
Which leads us right into the third pathway, and this is the most challenging one.
Without a doubt. And maybe the most revolutionary, finding meaning through the attitude we choose toward unavoidable suffering.
This is that ultimate freedom again.
It is. Frankl saw suffering not just as something to be avoided, but as a potential human achievement.
If you face it with courage.
And with dignity. If you can't change a situation, a chronic illness, a major loss, you are challenged to change yourself. The meaning is found in how you choose to carry that burden.
That reframing is just profound, because so much of our culture is about eliminating pain, avoiding it at all costs.
And Frankl says that trying to avoid unavoidable pain is what actually leads to despair.
So instead of asking, why me?
The question becomes, okay, this is my situation. What meaning can I find in the way I choose to respond to it?
And this wasn't just a philosophy, was it? He developed actual clinical tools from this.
Oh, absolutely. Like a technique he called paradoxical intention.
Where you wish for the thing you're afraid of.
Exactly. He'd tell someone with severe anxiety to try and be even more anxious. By, sort of making fun of the fear, you break the cycle of anticipatory dread and you reclaim your power over it.
A very concrete application of choosing your attitude.
It is. It shows that this isn't just a nice idea, it's a functional therapeutic model. It all comes back to realizing that life isn't about asking what you can get from it.
It's about what it's asking of you.
Precisely. And happiness, Frankl said, happiness is not something you can pursue directly. It has to ensue.
A byproduct.
It's a byproduct of purpose. The minute you make happiness your goal, you'll never find it. But if you dedicate yourself to a cause or to another person, happiness often just shows up.
So let's bring this all together. What does this actually mean for you, the listener, navigating your own complex life today?
Well, the review points out that one of the most immediate benefits is perspective.
But not in a dismissive way, right? Not my problems or nothing.
Yeah. No, not at all. It's not about minimizing your pain. It's about understanding that the framework you use to respond to immense suffering is the same one you can use for a professional failure or an illness or a personal crisis.
It builds emotional resilience.
You start to see that a setback isn't the end of the story. It's the start of an opportunity to find meaning through that third pathway.
You learn to face suffering with strength, not by avoiding it.
And tied directly to that is, I think, a huge recalibration of gratitude.
How so?
The book just forces you to recognize the incredible gifts you have, your health, your freedom, your ability to choose what you do today.
Things you take for granted.
They stop being background noise and become these conscious, precious realities. It makes you feel accountable for how you use those freedoms.
So the ultimate transformation, the real promise of the book, is that shift in focus.
From seeking happiness or success
to seeking purpose. If you start to frame your decisions around creation, around relationships, and around a courageous response to your challenges, your entire life changes.
So to summarize the enduring power here, Frankl's work tells us that our deepest drive is for meaning.
And that meaning is always available.
Always. Whether you find it by creating something or by loving someone or, and this is the most powerful part, through the defiant and courageous attitude you choose when facing something you cannot change.
The book is not pleasant.
No, but it is necessary.
It forces us to look at the human condition and to recognize the power we hold, even at our most powerless moments. So here's a final provocative thought for you to take with you this week, based on Frankl's framework.
Okay.
Think about one significant, unavoidable challenge in your life right now. Something you can't just wish away.
Something you have to carry.
Exactly. If, as Frankl argues, freedom is the choice of response even in chains, what clarity or what strength could you choose to find in that situation this week?
Seek the meaning in the how.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Viktor Frankl's necessary wisdom. We hope this knowledge guides your search for purpose.